So, anyway, yo, what is going on, you guys? Garrett here, by myself. Unfortunately, Lincoln's busy today. I don't ever tell him when I'm going to do these videos. But anyway, I just thought since I have a second, we should talk about the new Eminem album that came out. I honestly forget when it came out now, but I bought it the day it came out. It was midnight. I remember it specifically. It was like 12. It was like 12:15. I don't really remember. And then my girlfriend, who's my fiance now, obviously, blah blah. She was like, "Hey, do you know Eminem just came out with a new album?" And I was like, "When?" She goes like 10 minutes ago. And I was like, and not unheard of, obviously, but it was like, what is happening? This is crazy. Because my first initial thought was, wow, he really got us. He really got us. He got all of us. Because one of the first things that came to my mind was, I thought he was working on Bad Meets Evil. You know? Because we've all been thinking that he's just been working on Bad Meets Evil sequel album with Royce to 5'9", because whenever he actually legitimately talks about an album that he's working on, and he's got another artist that's collaborating, saying yes, we are making the album and it's happening and it's going on. It's just so crazy to me to think, and it's so smart too, that just out of nowhere, out of the blue, he just drops another album. Because when he did that with Kamikaze, it was highly successful. Kamikaze turned, not necessarily saying that it was highly successful in the eyes of critics, but it was one of those things where the fans, they really took it. They really took to it. They took to it very well, because it was more of a return to familiarity for Eminem's music. It was a return to familiarity for him. His style, Revival, will just we'll just never get over how bad that went. We'll just never get past that point in his career. That was just more of a hiccup. That was just a hiccup in a rather long history. And there have been multiple hiccups along the way. I'm a diehard Eminem fan, and I'm not ashamed to say that my favorite musical artist has definitely had some definite problems along the way. I'm not talking personal or anything. I'm talking specifically music, and we can say that Revival was one of those hiccups. And then he came out with Kamikaze, and one of the main issues that was with Kamikaze was really that Eminem was just more upset. He was letting everybody know it. He was doing what he does. He's like, I'm pissed off. You guys don't like me, so I'm just gonna bitch and moan about it. Not necessarily saying that is 100% what Kamikaze was, but you can kind of see that was kind of the idea. Eminem was taking all the controversy, and all of the negative comments, I guess you could say, broadly. He just took all that negativity and he turned it around. He projected it back onto the world, and that's kind of what we like about Eminem. That's actually that's kind of what we are. That's kind of what we enjoy. It's kind of what we like. But it was also coming from a place of not willing to admit when you had been beaten. It was kind of this Kamikaze was kind of this whole idea of, it doesn't matter. In the title Kamikaze, it doesn't matter if I take myself out. I'm taking you out because I think you're wrong. It was interesting, but it was like, it doesn't really do anything for me, because at the end of the day, you're still wrong. Revival did suck. And some people don't think Revival sucked. Good for those people, I guess. For the people that do think Revival sucked, well, like myself, I wasn't the hugest fan of it. I've come out with videos in the past describing how it is that I felt about Revival. But, moving on to this album, what this album brings to the table is a even bigger return to familiarity. Not necessarily, oh, everything's familiar and everything's great. No, not necessarily like that. I don't mean in that sense. Just more as it's Eminem just really going ham. Just really getting it in there and just really messing these people up. I like it. I like it a lot. I love the album. I think it's a banger. I've talked to some people already. Haven't really seen what the internet as a whole, what the major consensus seems to be. But my personal viewpoint is it's great. I don't think every song on it is great. I don't think it's a recovery, or something like that. But I think it is really great. I do think it is. I think it's better than Kamikaze. I'll say that right now. I think it is better than Kamikaze, mainly because on the outset, if we're going into this album, it doesn't really feel like he made it in response to something. Like the way Kamikaze felt, the whole album was derived from Eminem's own feelings towards the backlash he received from Revival. So with that out of the way, Music to Be Murdered By is it breaks a little bit away from that. It still references some of those feelings and some of those thoughts in a more constructive way, I can add, but it tries to distance itself just a little bit from that previous mentality and kind of goes back to just being about getting on these really good beats and just slaying, just absolutely slaying. I don't think every chorus is great. I don't think every line is great. I don't think every feature is great, if you guys know what I'm talking about. But I do think, all in all, I think it is a good song, a good album. I think it's great, I might make a separate video where I actually go more in depth to this. One of the things that are kind of big on this channel right now is that I've got my top 9 best Eminem albums, what I've ranked as like my personal best. I don't have a ranking right now for Music to Be Murdered By. It just came out, so I still need a little bit of time. I don't know when I'm going to get around to that. As we talked back in December, I have just started school. It's only two times a week, but that's all day those days. And then there's homework outside of that. I also have a full-time job. In between that, I have a second job where I go and I work for one day, and then I've only got technically like one day where I'm free. And even then, I'm still going to the gym. I'm still trying to keep up social obligations, relationship obligations. So whenever that update on Kamikaze, and it's kind of this mentality that you don't really see from Eminem. You don't really get that side of him. You don't really get on it that I didn't do it. So there's something pretty admirable about that, coming from a guy who's very notorious for, not really even lamenting his action. I mean, he's someone who's always come out and been like, yeah, I've done a lot of dumb stuff in my life, but one of those things is, that you could argue is a dumb thing. He just doesn't apologize, and so it's interesting now that he openly admits that maybe he's made some mistakes along the way, especially when they're mistakes that were not that long ago. Like, this was only about just a little over a year ago, because Kamikaze came out in 2018. 2019 was completely silent, but we were riding on the coattails of Kamikaze. Now he releases an album at the beginning of 2020, so we have no idea what's about to happen. We have no idea if the album is still happening, if that was just clever misdirection. We have no idea. We don't know what's going on. That's kind of why Eminem is so exciting, especially when he does stuff like this, because you have no idea what it is that he's about to do. So anyway, that's all I had to say about it. Thank you guys for watching, and I will definitely catch you guys later.